What's going on, Squirrel Squad? How you guys doing, huh? Hey, so this is something that's completely, I don't even know. This is a little different for me. This is Americans Living Abroad. First time you realized America really messed you up. Part 1, TikTok. So, it looks like these are all vertical videos, so I just slid the image over a little bit. Well, a little bit. I just slid the image over a little bit this way. Because, why have the whole screen there just for fuzzies on both sides? So let's see what this is about. It's a three-parter. This came as three links to me, and we're gonna see what we think of this. All right, here we go.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So I've been living in New Zealand for the last 4 years, and at work there was an American flag, and I jokingly went and put my hand over my heart and said the Pledge of Allegiance, and everyone was kind of like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a Pledge of Allegiance. So basically growing up every day at school at like 9 o'clock or whatever, we would all stand up and the whole class would recite the Pledge of Allegiance with our hands over our hearts to the American flag in the corner of the room. And my coworkers were like, what? And, when you say it out loud, it sounds a bit culty.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So when I was in high school, I was a lifeguard, and during my lifeguard training, they taught us that before we even administered first aid or CPR, we had to ask for consent to avoid being sued. Now fast forward a couple of years, and I'm in London as a waitress, and my company sends me to go do CPR training. And while I'm there, they go over the same stuff that I learned in the States, but I notice that they're completely glossing over this one particular area. So I raise my hand and I ask, what are the laws here? Like, how do you avoid being sued if something goes wrong? To which every single person in the room starts laughing at me. It says, oh, you're American, right? Yeah, no one here is going to sue you for trying to save their life.
So I've been CPR certified for years and years. I've recently let it lapse. My wife currently is certified, but I've only heard this once in all the times I've done recertification classes. I do the class every year with as part of the class with the scouts every year when they get the CPR and first aid training and stuff. So I've only heard this once, and it was a long time ago. And it was, just be careful. And they say if the person's is still conscious, is still awake, you should ask them, do you want me, can you breathe? Well, of course you're going to ask them, can you breathe? You're not just going to walk up to someone's awake and just start sucking face with them. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know what's going on, right? But the whole suing thing, it's not actually accurate. There is a law over here in the United States called the Good Samaritan Law. Because we have too many people that are sue happy and like to sue people, they actually put a law out there, and if it is deemed that you had all good intentions and were trying to save someone's life, there is no recourse anyone can take against you. This actually applies to a lot of things. So, like, if there was a car speeding at you and somebody dove and pushed you out of the way, and you broke your leg, if they actually removed you from getting killed by the car, you can't do anything about it, I don't think. Pretty sure that's all part of it, too.
So in the U.S., I regularly get pneumonia. Sometimes I get like pneumonia and bronchitis, but pretty much all, like clockwork, I get it. I had just moved to Scotland for my master's, and I was coming down with a respiratory infection like I do every year. It was just the early onsets of pneumonia, but like normally I wait to the point of where I'm like literally unable to breathe before I go to the doctor because it's expensive in the US. Well, here I was like, you know what? I'm here. I paid for the NHS. Let me go get it. Saw a doctor, gave me a prescription. I went to the pharmacy to pick up my medication, something that I literally would not be able to afford with my minimum wage job and being a full-time student. They gave it to me for free because it was necessary, and I almost cried in the pharmacy. Like tears were welling in my eyes.
I would love to see healthcare. I mean, they tried to do it, and what they did was they screwed us completely because they tried to put in nationalized healthcare. They didn't do it right, and they screwed up our personal healthcare. So now everybody over here has these ridiculously high deductibles to do anything. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, and I can totally appreciate that this guy was like emotionally moved to have free healthcare and free medicine. Of course, that's awesome.
Okay, so I live in New York now, but I used to live in England, and one time I was out at this bar with my friends, and these two cops walked by. And one of my friends was like, oh, I wonder why there are cops out right now. And I looked at the cops, and I got really confused, and I was like, those are cops? And my friends were like, yeah. And I was like, they don't have guns. And everyone was like, why would they have guns? They were like so aghast at that question. And I realized in that moment and learned that there are so few guns in the UK, and it's such not an issue that like the everyday cop does not carry a gun. And there are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable. It blew my fucking mind. I think about it all the time. I hate guns so much.
In the US, I could not let my 11-year-old son go outside and play by himself. Someone would call the cops or something would legitimately happen to him, and so there was no way. And when I moved to Germany, my husband, who's a German national, suggested that he go outside and play by himself because we would not have to worry.
I don't know where this woman lived. My kids have gone outside and played by themselves. Eli and Reese are 5, and they'll go out and play in the backyard. But I mean, it's just it's not fenced in or anything, but it's the backyard. You can see it from the porch. They just know better. I mean, I don't know. I guess it all depends on it depends on where you live. It totally depends on where you live. How does that lady live?
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom. Like, when you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place and, it's the land of the free, home of the brave, but, like, I keep hearing these criticisms from people like, oh yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom. I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. Like, that is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. Like, I don't understand. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. Like, they need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their citizens.
We're definitely told that this is the land of the free, the home of the brave, that we have freedoms. We're a free nation and a free country. You're free to leave if you want to. You want to move somewhere else, you can leave. You're free to practice whatever religion you want to practice. It's things like that. Those are your freedoms. Never in my life, again, and I'm just telling you my experience versus these other people. They really handpicked some of these, I think. Never in my life was I told there are no other countries in the world where anybody has any freedoms. I also wasn't told that I was free to just act like a jackass and do whatever I wanted to. They always talk about your liberties and freedoms that you do have as an American, though, and how we are a very free country. I don't think anyone's ever said that there's nobody else that has any freedoms. I always kind of considered a lot of Europe to be that way, to be the same way as us. This is free, they're all kind of free, right? I mean, I get it that there's, touches of different styles of governments and stuff, but the people themselves are still pretty free, I thought.
Okay, so I'm not currently living abroad, but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy, and I ended up on public transportation without a phone, and I had to find my way back to my apartment. And I got lost, and while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me, and I immediately went into attack mode, and I was going to kill him, and he was like, no, I was just gonna tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston. And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. But in America, I still am.
She just fears every man. That's a little much of a blanket statement, I think. And I can understand being precautious in public transportation systems and things like that. I get that, but I'm not a woman. I understand that there are women who fear men because they've had Bad things happened to them in the past. Whatever it was that happened, or whatever the conception is. I can't. I'm not a woman, so I can't speak wholly on it. I can just give you my opinion. I think it's a little much to say you're afraid of every man you meet. Maybe there are reasons, but she stated that the reason was just because she was from America. So that's the reason given in this particular video. I find that to be crap.
So I don't live abroad anymore, but for half of 2018, I lived in Germany, and I have so many stories. The town that I lived in had like a main plaza area, and there was a cafe in that plaza. So a couple of my other American friends and I decided to try it out one day, and there was a construction site nearby. We heard a really loud bang, and, we kind of assumed that someone had fired a gun, and so we, ducked for cover, and then we were looking around frantically, trying to find, a place that we could run to or hide to get out of the situation, and then we realized that no one had shot a gun. No, it was a loud bang from the construction site. That's it. That's all it was.
That's what I would have assumed it was.
We'd been speaking in English, and we all have really obvious American accents, so all the Germans around us gave us these really sad looks, like, oh, these poor, poor Americans.
I'm really, I don't know if I'm going to go through part 2 and part 3 of this video. This is going to be a long one for you guys. God bless you if you're still here. How you doing? I'm the Squirrel. It's good to see you. I don't know. I just have so much to say about all these. I live in America. I'm an American. I hear loud noises outside my house. I don't duck for cover. Well, I don't understand this. These people are really playing up the whole America too many guns thing. And it's true. We need better gun laws. We need better restrictions. We do need to clean it up, But given that that's the situation we're in, I don't fear for my life outside for gunfire. You have to remember when I'm talking about this stuff, I am looking at these statements from these people as if they are talking about that they feel this way just because America. That's the whole thing. They're saying in America that's an American thing that you would fear. I wouldn't. I don't get it. I just don't. This is very, very overplayed. These are people that want to be stars on TikTok or really want, they want to get picked for the video, whatever. And there's people that feel this way, I guess. I guess there are. But it's not. I don't think it's the majority. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Okay, so I moved to
Here we
Sweden.
go. This ought to be good.
And when I got here, I wasn't feeling too well, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor recommended that I get an EKG, an electrocardiogram. Now, instead of worrying about my health, my first reaction was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can get one of those, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. And this sweet little man, this sweet, amazing doctor goes, did you not pay the, $20 when you got here? I ended up getting a regular EKG, a 24-hour-long EKG, a blood test, and a freaking checkup for $20! Best part of this entire situation is that I am getting better, and I am getting the medical attention I need without going broke!
We're going to hear this a lot throughout these videos, I think. Our healthcare system sucks. Nobody can deny that, and nobody should be able to deny that we need to fix it. And we need to make it much better. We need to make it affordable for our citizens. Who the hell moves to another country and doesn't know what the hell is going on about taking care of themselves, though? You just moved to another country. You would think that you would want to understand if something happens, how does this work? I'm in another country. I should look at what their insurance looks like. And then from there, that would lead you to knowing what was going on, right?
I pride myself on being an American. I didn't make it out before COVID, but I went to Norway and I fell in love with Norway. I read about it, researched it, and I was like, I've got to visit first. And I only went for a week, and it was for the Infernal Metal Festival. And for the first time in my life, I was actually called an American. They didn't assume where I was from. And there was this beautiful Norwegian elder, and she says, "God påske." And I said, "Beklager, jeg snakker litt norsk." And I said, basically, she said, "Happy Easter." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't speak a lot of Norwegian." And she goes, "Oh, you're an American." And she didn't worry about her purse. She didn't look at me sideways. And I cried. I cried when I left, because for the first time, I was able to be just an American. I didn't even hardly drink, didn't do anything crazy.
That's unfortunately probably 100% accurate. Racism's a tough thing for everybody, I think, to talk about. It's definitely here. I think a lot of people of all races are keeping it alive. I don't understand why we're not all just Americans. I don't understand the term African American. I don't know why that has to be. And the reason why I say that is because I know that there's people that prefer African American who are black people, people of color. They prefer that, but not everybody is from Africa. That's the crazy thing about it, right? I mean, like, why are we gonna? To me, that's just worse. I mean, you're just stereotyping everyone. All right, well, if you're a little darker than everybody else, you're just African. You know, that's always driven me nuts.
So during the first lockdown, we have an elderly neighbor, and we would go and check in on her every once in a while and like get her groceries if she needed. And progressively, she started not be able to breathe very well. And we knew it wasn't COVID because she had it before. But like at one point it was like she couldn't even get to the door without like literally not being able to breathe and having to sit down. So my partner decided that we needed to call an ambulance for her and get her to the hospital pronto. And when he told me that he was going to call an ambulance, the first thing that I said was, "Are you sure? Can she afford an ambulance? Like we could just drive her." And it wasn't until my partner looked at me like, and that it clicked that, oh, that's not a worry here. And then I went upstairs and cried because it really smacked me in the face that as Americans, we are conditioned to not worry about someone's health first, but to worry about whether or not they can financially afford to see a doctor.
Yep, you put the health thing in here 100 times and you're going to be right 100 times because it sucks.
So I moved to Germany in 2018 as a study abroad student, and I had a nice apartment that was on the ground floor with a nice patio, a big door that opened that led to the patio. And I was minding my own business in bed one day. The door was wide open. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, and I heard these really loud banging noises coming from outside that weren't very far. And I'm like, that's not a firework or a firecracker. It can't be. I freak out because as an American, I'm like, I'm about to get shot. Somebody is shooting up all of the student apartments right now.
You're an idiot, dude.
So I call all of my friends and I'm like, did you hear that? Am I crazy? Do we need to call the police and whatever? And they're like, I don't know, but yeah, maybe call your boyfriend who's German and like ask him. So I call my boyfriend and I'm like, watching, we just heard this stuff, like what's going on? And he's like, not to worry. Here in Germany, we don't have shooters. Those are probably just firecrackers. And I'm just like, I'm damaged. Like, we are all damaged and freaking out about frickin' firecrackers. We think we're going to get shot up.
We're not all damaged, buddy. You are, but not all of us.
Hey, I live in Ireland, and I've lived most of my adult life here. I moved to Ireland in 1995. My teenage daughter was born here many years ago, and when she was born, I spent 2 nights in hospital before she was born. I had an emergency cesarean section, and then I spent a further 6 nights afterwards. The total cost to me was $0.
Yep, that's awesome.
I kept asking them, like, are you sure no one wants my credit card? Like,
yeah, right.
Do you want my details so you can send me the bill? And they would just like laugh, like, oh, you're American. There's no bill. So 8 nights in hospital, emergency procedure,
So awesome.
0 bill.
Okay, I have another one. When I was studying in Spain, we had our orientation the first week of classes, and our program director sat us all down and had to explain our health insurance to us and how it worked. And basically it worked that you paid like €1,000 for the semester and you got health insurance, like free health insurance for everything, covered everything. And she had to sit us down, and she had this big group of Americans in a room, and she was like, listen, if you are sick, go to the doctor. And we were all like, yes. And she was like, no, like Americans don't go to the doctor. You won't go to the doctor when you're sick. So I have to tell you every year to do this, and still kids will just put off going to the doctor because you're used to just like pushing through illness. No matter what it is, I don't care if it's a cold, go to the doctor. And she had to actually like spell that out for us.
Well, here we go. That's the end of it. As Americans, we are taught that other countries are getting much better, especially, I mean, over the past 12 years. Obama was one who opened up everyone's eyes who didn't already know, if anyone was paying attention, as to how healthcare was around the world and telling everybody, this is what I want to do, you know? I don't get these wacky people. There's some wackadoos in this video. I'm telling you, there's some people who are like you know, I don't even know, you know. I think they're all kind of. I think it's all kind of the same people, though. I think the people that don't know that there's healthcare in other countries, and the people who hit the deck when they hear a firecracker or somebody, you know, God forbid somebody drops a piece of metal on the ground or something, you know. I'll probably take a look at the other 2 videos at some point. I just figured, you know, I had to talk on some of these. Some of these were ridiculous. I'm not mad at these people. I guess all of them are just oblivious to how common sense things work. It's not their fault that the people who made the video put 10 of the same damn thing in here, you know? I don't even know. I gotta go. I'm not sure what I'm even doing with this friggin' video at this point. Scroll up.